the 4K quality. It's stunning to think it's a movie that is from 1989.
Now everyone, it's time to spread a bit of movie cheer.
Welcome to the Movie Cheer Podcast, the show for movie fans. I'm your host AP, aka Mr. Movie Cheer, and on today's episode of the Movie Cheer Pod, I will be discussing the new Roadhouse release from Arrow Video, the 4K release of that movie, discussing the movie, the quality of the movie, the actual release itself. That's what I'm going to be discussing on today's headline topic. So let's get to it. Let's get to today's headline topic. The Movie Cheer Podcast presents the headline topic for the episode.
Remember to spread a bit of
headline topic. Headline topic.
Remember to spread a bit of movie cheer.
So today's headline topic, the release of Roadhouse from Arrow Video, the 4K release. I've got it right here in my hand if you're watching the video version of this podcast. Love that artwork. I will get into the artwork a bit later on, but let's get into it. I'm going to be discussing the movie, the actual physical release, what my thoughts on it, looking at the spec of the release, just talking about the movie overall. It's going to be a big deep dive into this, so let's go for it. First of all, Arrow released this new release, so it's released on Blu-ray and 4K from Arrow Video, Roadhouse. This was basically first of all, let's have a look at the spec of this release here, first of all. So this was a transfer from Vinegar Syndrome's 4K release that came out a few years ago. So they used the same transfer. There is definitely a few changes, I think, in the colour from what I've seen online from other YouTubers and just from info I've been looking online. So it looks like there's been some different type of colour grading, but it's the same transfer Vinegar Syndrome used. It is on that. The spec sheet is it says that they did it. It's got HDR10, Dolby Vision, 5.1 audio. So that's the spec of this release, the Arrow release. Really good spec there. I think the Dolby Vision, HDR10, really good quality. Let's get to now the artwork. So first of all, let's just have this. I'm just going to show it on screen again. This beautiful artwork for this release. I love this. So the artwork was made, obviously with Arrow, they do the original artwork on the cover. It is a reversible cover as well, so you can have the original movie artwork as well. But this beautiful artwork, they do their own original artwork for new releases, Arrow Video, and it was done by an artist named Mark Bell. And I don't know if he's like the regular contributor on Arrow releases, but he did the artwork for this one. Basically, I think it is a beautiful cover. The artwork is fantastic. I love the colours they've used on this original artwork here. Really great colours. Again, let's just look at that release again. If you're watching the video version, the purples, like this gradient going down, beautiful. And then you've got the Double Deuce nightclub, the main setting of this whole movie. And then like this neon lighting effect for the Roadhouse logo, and then going around that. And I love that. I think it's a really stylized, it's very much like an artistic, a cartoony take on the cover. But I love it. I love the colours they've used on it. I think it's really, really done well. And if I'm being honest, it's good. This is what I like about Arrow releases, is the fact that they have that option to do, if you like the original artwork, you can go for the original artwork instead. You can do the reversible cover on the actual, not on the slip cover, of course, but obviously when you pull it out. But I personally prefer the artwork from Arrow. I think it is superb. I think it is really quality artwork. I just love the colour. I think that would make for a great poster in the movie room, if I'm being honest. I love that. And you do get a poster included with it, so maybe that'll be getting framed, that poster. But yeah, love the artwork. I think it is fantastic. So overall, let's talk about the Arrow Video release of Roadhouse. What did I think of the Arrow Video release? want to touch on a few things here. So first of all, this is my first ever Arrow purchase. It's the first one that I've ever purchased, so I'm going into it with that sort of like mindset. I've never watched an Arrow release before. First of all, the overall release, it's a limited edition Arrow release, this one. It is, for me, the bells and whistles of, things like the posters, the beer mats and stuff like you get at. It doesn't really do much for me personally. And I've said this in previous videos. I know for some people they enjoy that stuff. For me, give it or take. I don't really care too much. It's more about the actual movie for me. But I will say the presentation of the artwork is fantastic. The what you get in here, you get a lot of bonus features here. So let's just see you get the Blu-ray disc obviously included. This too, there's commentaries, an interview with the second unit director and stunt coordinator Charles Pacini, an interview with stuntmen on it. You've got a few different interviews. So there's lots of different things on the disc here. Let's see what else we've got here. Reversible sleeve. I mean, like I said, you get plenty of the different featurettes on the Blu-ray disc, which I think is great. Plenty of content in there if you're into all your bonus material. But the quality of the actual, what I will say, like I said, I'm at 4K. I only got into 4K this past year, so 4K for me is a relatively new thing. But this is such a stunning movie. This is a movie that was released in 1989. And I've watched other movies like Back to the Future from like the 80s, where I've had that sort of like, similar look to them. Back to the Future was great, but I think this was even better, this one. I thought the quality of it, there was certainly some long shots, like some minor, and this is a minor critique, like minor long shots where it was a bit blurred, but I think that is just the way it was filmed. But overall, the majority of the movie looks absolutely fantastic. When you're watching the 4K quality, it's stunning to think it's a movie that is from 1989 because it looks so great. I think it's a nice use. It's not too much grain in there. They've not like got rid of too much noise. It's just a perfect balance of a transfer. And to be honest, it was one of these where I'd heard a lot about the Vinegar Syndrome transfer, the 4K transfer, and to hear then that they were actually using this on this release of Roadhouse made me more inclined to buy this actual release. So I think it's great. I think so we're looking at quality of the sound. I watch it on my 4K OLED TV. It looks beautiful. It looks crisp. Sound quality is great. I think overall, if you're looking at quality, presentation of packaging, presentation of what features are featured in here on this Arrow release, and then overall the movie, how it looks beautiful. It looks great. The colours are great. I think they've done really a good job on this release personally. So yeah, a thumbs up from me for Arrow Video on the release. Why did I choose the 4K though? Why did I choose it for? Because I could have easily went for the Blu-ray, and if I'm being honest, I was torn. Originally I was going to go for the Blu-ray release. I was hearing, like I said, heard good things about this Vinegar Syndrome transfer, and I kind of wanted to. It's weird. I thought because it's the first one I'm going to buy from, say, a boutique label like Arrow. I thought, you know what, I'm going to go all in on a 4K. And if the 4K is awful, then I'll be more inclined in the future to go for the Blu-rays. But I was really impressed. And you know what? The Blu-ray is probably just as good. I'd be interested to watch the Blu-ray as well to see comparison if it looks as good. I'm sure it looks equally as good. But I thought, you know what? Because I heard such good things about this transfer, let's just, for this one alone, let's go for the 4K. And it was, I'll be honest, I was hoping to, I didn't pre-order it. I was hoping to go and get it from HMV. Went in early on in the week and got there was none in stock. Went online, Amazon, and I was kind of debating. I thought, maybe I'll give it another couple of days. Then it sold out on Amazon, and luckily enough, I went on HMV a few days ago, purchased it, and the night after, the night after then, it was sold out. And I'm sure it will come back in stock. But it is a movie I enjoy, and I wanted to, get a hold of a release of this movie. So that's why I chose the 4K of Roadhouse. let's talk about the bit about the movie as well, though. The plot of the movie, so released in 1989, basically Dalton, played by Patrick Swayze, he's hired he's like this top guy in the nightclub business, as this top cooler they call. He's basically the head of all the security guards within nightclubs, and this owner of this nightclub in this town, called the nightclub's called the Double Deuce. And he hires Dalton to come and manage it, to make. He wants to do up this club to make it a super club, this amazing club. It's like a dirty old bar, basically. There's fights going on, and he wants to do it up to make it a really trendy, cool club. And he wants to hire Dalton to manage the security, make sure things are kept under control. So he hires him, and then he goes to this town, Dalton, and basically he finds out this town is basically run by this evil, corrupt, rich guy who's like basically making all the business owners' lives hell throughout the town. And Dalton and the Double Deuce kind of come in collision with this rich guy who's got his own like henchmen and stuff like that. And yeah, it's a really good story. I think one of my favourite scenes in the movie, well, I suppose favourite moments, is early on in the movie when he first arrives at the Double Deuce, and it's just all them scenes. You got like Terry Funk in there, and it's just like, there's some scenes with the people who are in the bar buying drinks and stuff like that. If there's a scene where the guy offers $20 to do something to his lady friend, and then he says he has no money, and that's a great scene. I'll keep it PG here, guys, but it's a great movie. It's a fun movie, and yeah, so that's basically it's a very simple plot. He's very much, but to describe Dalton's character, Patrick Swayze character in this, he's basically Rambo running a nightclub. He's, very much like he's very skinny, the guy, but he is just built like a machine. He's just like, he can just, he knows all like martial arts. He's known for ripping some guy's throat out and killing him previously, and he's kind of like, that's looming on in his mind, his past. But yeah, it's a really great story, a fun story. It's it's got a lot of 80s action, which I like. It's a fun movie, but also a really good action movie as well thrown in there. My relationship with this movie, let's talk about that and overall thoughts. So, first time watch of this movie a couple of years ago. I think I watched it the first time maybe like a year or two ago. Very first watch, never watched it growing up. I loved it straight away. And I thought, when I was upgrading to Blu-ray and 4K earlier on this year, I had it on my list of movies. I thought, you know what, I want to get this. This is a movie I eventually want to get. And I was looking at the Blu-rays at the time, and I couldn't seem to get a copy. I had to import in or pay for an expensive Blu-ray. And I was like, do you know what? I'm going to be patient. I'm going to be patient and see what happens. And then, luckily enough, Arrow Video announces this 4K release in Blu-ray. I was like, yeah, that's where I'm going to go for. That's the release I'm going to be going for. So, like I said, it was on one of the lists. It was in a list of movies I wanted to pick up. And luckily enough, it's a movie fate, isn't it? It happened to be released this year, and I'm really happy with it. But just overall, with this Arrow movie release, I think it is like I said, it's good that a movie like this is getting celebrated and getting. I know, obviously, Vinegar Syndrome did the release a few years ago, but we're getting a new release of this. I think it's a movie that should be celebrated over and over again. I'm sure there will be countless more releases further down the line. But for me, Roadhouse is truly a classic movie. If you've never watched this movie, maybe you're watching this video today and you're contemplating watching this. I think if you like 80s action like Lethal Weapon, Beverly Hills Cop, stuff like that, I think this will really be your jam. I think it will be. It's just a fun movie. I think the character of Dalton is really, you really like that character. I love the ending of the movie as well. I think it's that coming together, and I won't do spoilers here in this show today, but the ending for me is a pleasing ending. And I think some movies, you get like a good build to some movies and it's a good middle, and you're like, can the ending deliver? And for me, this ending does deliver. I think it's a great ending to the story. I think it's a good story arc of the character as well. It's good as well. You see this Double Deuce go from this dump to this actually really cool nightclub, and the way he manages the staff and he teaches them the rules of being a bouncer. Be nice, and just it's a fun movie. As a wrestling fan, it's cool to see Terry Funk in there as well. I really like that. But yeah, overall, like I said, if you've not watched Roadhouse before, definitely check it out. If it's not this release, any type of release or streaming. If you're on the fence about the 4K, I would certainly recommend you checking this one out. It is top notch. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a 4K expert by any means. My viewing of 4K content is limited currently, but from what I've watched so far, it is top-notch quality. I think it is really a solid movie on 4K from Arrow Video, and I think Arrow Video have really done this movie justice with this release overall. So anyway, that's today's headline topic. Let's move on with the rest of the episode.
Case covers take on other case covers. Can you handle that?
Case cover collision. Case cover collision.
Case cover collision. Each and every episode, I look at different case covers for a movie and put them up against each other to see which one is the best and the winner of the case cover collision. And as we are discussing Roadhouse on this episode, I thought it would be a great opportunity to go all in with looking at some case covers for different releases of Roadhouse. So what are we going to be looking at today? We're going to look at the Roadhouse Arrow Video release from the 4K and Blu-ray, which we've been discussing on this episode today. So I'm going to be looking at that release, comparing it against the Vinegar Syndrome 4K release a couple of years back. And we're going to look at another one as well, just the standard movie, the original sort of like movie artwork for the DVDs, Blu-rays and 4Ks release as well. So there has been plenty of more out there, but I kind of want to keep it within a certain radius, if you like, because you can go too far. And there's like, let's go to the 10th release of Roadhouse. So let's stick to 3 for this episode. But first of all, let's go for it. The Roadhouse, the Arrow Video Blu-ray 4K. So looking at this release, first of all, it is, I've said it at the beginning of this episode, beautiful artwork here. I love this original art by from Arrow Video. First of all, you see it here, the colours here used are purples, the light yellows. It goes from a gradient from the top to the bottom, and then you've got this cartoon look of the Double Deuce nightclub, the main attraction, the main location within this movie. Above that, then you've got like all the characters fighting outside, which is very much there's a lot of fighting in this movie, for sure. We've got here then, above that, at the top of it, we've got Patrick Swayze, the headline actor of this movie. His name is in this sort of like light blue neon writing, and then underneath that you've got like that classic sign of Roadhouse. That I think that's like very much the classic font, I would say, and again in that neon blue effect. And then around the top part of the screen of the cover, you've got that blue sort of like outline, again the neon blue. But it's a great cover. I think it's a really good. I think what stands out to me here is the use of colours. The use of colours really stand out to me. I think it's a really great use of colours with the blues, the neon blues, the pop, the logo of Roadhouse, Patrick Swayze's name really pops. And then you've got the colours above, but then you've got that cartoon of the sort of the nightclub as well, which I think really works well. So I really do like this release. I think it's a nice cover, that one. Let's now move to the Vinegar Syndrome 4K release. And again, this is another great cover. Very different look though. So it's they went for like it's a black background, and then insert you've got all the different characters featured here in a very much a cartoony effect again. They went for the same colour of that blue outline of that neon blue. Patrick Swayze's name is on top here, and then in the middle this time you've got the Roadhouse name sort of going slightly to the right, linked into that neon outline. I like this. I think, again, it's a very different from the first one. There's a lot more going on. I think the first one is a lot more simpler, but there's a lot going on in this one. But I think it works. I think it really does work. I think it's very much like, it's like looking at a comic book, this. I love that effect. It is really much a comic book effect. But yeah, a great piece of artwork, this one. I really do like what they've done here, Vinegar Syndrome. Now let's move to, this is the classic, the DVD Blu-ray, and I think this is a 4K release somewhere as well. It might be a German release. But this is the standard movie poster. This is what you probably would have got on the VHS back in the day. And this is the actual, on the 4K Arrow release, you can do the reversible cover and you've got this artwork, which is cool if you prefer this artwork. But this is the original one. Again, that same, you've got here, just very simple, Patrick Swayze looking, full long shot of Patrick Swayze outside a nightclub, or I think it's inside a nightclub actually, near the stage. And he's just looking to the camera, very simple, light shining on him. Above that, you've got his name in that simple blue colour. All of the text in all these covers have went for the same colours here, and the same font for the logo of Roadhouse, that neon effect. So that's a running theme, which I think that's nice that they've kept that artwork, a piece of the artwork going from each and every release, from the Vinegar Syndrome to the Arrow video. But it's very simple, this one. But I think, you know what, it works. It works for what it is. It's simple. I think it's a piece of artwork of the time, really. Very simple, not too much going in there. But yeah, I think it works as well for this movie. So there's 3 really quality covers, if I'm being honest. Great case covers. But only one can win on case cover collision. And which one am I going to go for? I'll be honest, I'm torn here. I'm torn between the Vinegar Syndrome and the Arrow video release. I think they are both pretty epic, if I'm being honest. But I think I'm just going to have to slightly... Oh, God. Do you know what? I'm going to go for the Arrow video. I think maybe it's because I've actually got the release here, seeing it in hand. I like a simpler effect sometimes, a bit more of a minimalistic look, and I love the artwork on that. I think it's great. Vinegar Syndrome have really nailed it as well. But for me, the Roadhouse Arrow video 4K Blu-ray release, the artwork on that is the winner for me on this edition of Case Cover Collision. Now let's move to the next segment of today's show.
What's been on the screen? The screen. What's been on the screen?
What's been on the screen? What have I been watching recently, folks? So first of all, let's get to the first movie I've been watching recently. It is a movie called The Wild Robot. This was released last year in 2024. It stars Lupita Nyong'o, Pedro Pascal, Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, Bill Nighy among the cast on this. It is an animated movie. Basically, I heard this recommended on my buddy Ash from Popcorn Horror's most recent video. I think Ash mentioned it as well in a few videos back. I remember him mentioning this movie as well, and it's one I've been meaning to check out for a while. I watched it this week anyway, so I'm a big fan of animated movies. This is a really heartwarming movie, this one. Basically, the plot of the story, and I won't give spoilers to it, but this is stuff that happens early on in the movie. It's set in this world where the artificial intelligence robots are really, highly formed, if you like. They're really intelligent. They can do stuff. They're sort of like robot assistants. They help around the house, do chores for you, stuff like that. And basically, there's been some sort of like shipwreck where all these robots have been deserted on this deserted island that's full of animals, wild animals. And basically, this one robot, it ends up getting activated on this island early on in the movie, and it's then given a task to look after this young bird, this bird character, and basically this robot becomes this bird's mother. I think the robot is called Roz. That's what it's the name of the character in this movie. And then along with the character of I believe it's a fox played by Pedro Pascal. they kind of raise this. I think it's a duck. I think it's a duck. I'm trying to be specific with what type of bird it is, but yeah, I think it's a duck. And basically, they go on a journey of like the robot goes on the journey of becoming more human in a way and raising this duck, and its task is to kind of like raise it, feed it, and to get it ready to go fly north or whatever with the rest of the bird colony, when winter comes, so it can survive. So that's kind of like the principle of the movie, and it is a really, I feel like this is a movie maybe I'd heard about it when it came out, but I feel like it's one that maybe went under the radar. That's what I get the sort of like feeling I get with this movie, because it's, even though I saw it was released and I heard about it briefly, but I'd not heard too much said about this movie. So I don't know how well it did at the box office, whether it did well or it didn't do well, but I feel like it's one that's went under the radar, and it's really, I think if you like your animated movies, it is one you should definitely give a shot. It's really, it is a really good, solid release. I think it's DreamWorks who released this. But what I got from this is very much a family-friendly movie, a very heartwarming movie as well. Really, the story, you think with a robot, maybe it won't be that heartwarming, but it is really very much, it feels like a human story in a way, because it feels like the robot becomes... it has a heart in this, and it sort of like grows its own soul, basically. And it's a really interesting story. I like the dynamics we see in I love the way, like early on in the movie, basically it shows it learning how to translate animal noises, and then it can talk to animals, because it basically sits there and just reads all the animals, and then it translates it all so that the robot Roz can speak to animals, which I think is a really cool way they did it in this movie. But yeah, great story. I really enjoyed this one, if I'm being honest. Next, I'll go to one more movie I've watched recently, and that is The Great Wall. I watched this last night. 2016 movie, Pedro Pascal again and Matt Damon in this one, and it is one I heard about years ago and never got around to watching it. I had it on watched it on Netflix, and it was one I've been meaning to watch. I had it on my list of movies to watch. Watched it last night, and I didn't know what this movie is about, so I won't spoil it. I will tell you basically what the plot is going to be, but it won't spoil the movie, because I didn't realise it's basically set in ancient times. You've got the Chinese army, Imperial Army, I believe, and basically it's a legendary tale, basically, this story of where every 60 years these aliens, like these monsters, sort of come and attack China and attack the Great Wall, and then they have this huge army, and it's kind of like a mix of, if you've ever played the games, I played them growing up, like Dynasty Warriors. It reminds me a bit of that, like the fighting going on, because it's just over, like, just crazy fighting, mixed in with a bit of like the Starship Troopers with all like these alien characters, and then you've got a bit of Lord of the Rings Two Towers with battle scenes in there, and I thought it was absolutely tremendous. I really enjoyed it. The battle scenes certainly stood out to me. You've got a score in there from the guy who did the Game of Thrones series, so I think that obviously this is before he probably did Game of Thrones as well, but it's a solid movie. The battle scenes stand out. I think Matt Damon as well. Pedro Pascal he has a role in this, but he's not like I feel like it's more Matt Damon's movie in a way, because this is like early on Pedro Pascal, but you still see a lot of Pedro Pascal, but it's more Matt Damon's like the main guy in this, I would say, more so. But it's a great movie. They're playing like two mercenaries who get trapped in this war. They kill one of the monsters, and then they join the China army to take on these defending the Great Wall of China and defending the human race against these monsters, which is a great story. So yeah, like great score, great effects in there. So many great things going on in this movie, but I really, really did enjoy this one. Well worth checking out. If you've not watched The Great Wall, definitely give it a shot, folks. Now, that is what I've been watching. What's been on the screen? Let's wrap up the episode. So that's it for another episode. If you enjoyed this episode today, folks, please do leave a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Leave a comment on there, all your thoughts on all of today's topics. Equally, if you're listening along on a podcast app of your choosing, please do subscribe and leave a comment on there and leave a review as well. It always helps the podcast and the show and the channel overall. Let me know all of your thoughts on today's topic. What do you think of the Arrow 4K Blu-ray release from Arrow Video? What do you think of that Roadhouse release movie overall? Let me know all your thoughts on the movies as well that I've watched. The case cover collision, the different case covers. Which one was your favourite? Let me know all your thoughts. Thank you very much for watching this video today, ladies and gents. Remember to spread a bit of movie cheer, and as always, I will see you next time.